Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days for today's second video. This takes us into the early part of August. We'll also have a look at the Beijing Climate Center next 40 days. That will take us towards the end of August, through to the end of the summer of 2018. And what a summer it's been so far. Exceptionally dry and also exceptionally hot. At the moment, we're looking at one of the hottest and driest summers ever recorded in the UK. And the weather is going to be turning even hotter over the next couple of days. Actually, some very alarming heat. It's possible in the extreme southeastern part of the country tomorrow and Friday. There is a bit of uncertainty about how hot it will get due to cloud amounts and the possibility of thunderstorms. But if those storms hold off in the southeast, it's not impossible that we might be breaking records on Friday afternoon. However, thunderstorms will turn increasingly widespread, and then over the weekend it's going to cool down a little bit. All of this is covered in the 5-day forecast, which was just released. Have a look at that and see what you think is going to extend out beyond the 5-day forecast period. And all the indications of that after a slightly cooler and more unsettled and fresher weekend and start to next week, the heat wave will return through the course of next week. So by no means has the heat done with us yet, and I'll get on with that for you in a second. Because of this threat of widespread thunderstorms at the end of the week, it's time to update Storm Watch. So we're going to do that this evening. I'll be with you around 7 o'clock on Storm Watch. But we're going to begin by having a look at this tweet from the UK Met Office. So, saw this a little while ago. They're saying that temperatures look set to peak on Thursday and Friday, when some records could well be broken. Here at the Met Office, we'll be monitoring things very closely, and then, sort of in brackets, worth noting, but not everywhere, will be exceptionally hot, and then they do it hashtag heatwave UK. So let's have a look at this. So tomorrow they're going for 35 degrees Celsius in the southeastern part of England, but on Friday they're suggesting 37 degrees Celsius is possible somewhere across East Anglia or southeastern England. 37 degrees is getting close to 100 Fahrenheit. So extremely hot potentially in the southeast. It will be dependent on how much cloud there is and how widespread the thunderstorms are. So it's going to be a case of watch your space. But if you're in across East Anglia or in the far southeast of England, this could be getting a little bit serious, this heat wave, as we get through to the end of the week. That's a kind of level of temperature that will cause dehydration. It'll cause medical problems, so it's getting a little bit serious in the southeast. After that, it will freshen up as those thunderstorms push across the country, clear out through Friday night into Saturday. Saturday will be a cooler and fresher day. Let me show you what's going on with the upper air temperatures. We cover all this in the 5D forecast, but it's a fascinating spell of weather that's coming up over the next couple of days. So these are the upper air temperatures for tomorrow, Thursday. And you can see that the 15 Celsius isotherm there is across England, or eastern parts of England. But it's really across France and the Low Countries that have got this very high level of heat. The upper air temperatures are not all that far off 20 degrees at 850 HPA across northeastern France and the Low Countries. And then as we go through into Friday, we see that this heat gets a little bit closer. This extreme heat gets a little bit closer to this extreme eastern part of England. But at the same time, we've got this cooler air out to the west. You see this line just here. That's with +5 Celsius isotherm. Behind that, it will be a lot cooler and fresher. By 6 o'clock in the evening on Friday, that -5 isotherm is beginning to head in towards Ireland. But you notice it's making quite slow progress. If we go back to 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday, that's where the +5 isotherm is off the west coast of Ireland. If we go through to 6 o'clock in the evening, it's not made much progress. So that does allow a very hot day potentially over in the southeastern part of the country. It's not until overnight Friday into Saturday that we push that +6 Celsius isotherm across the country. So there's the forecast, maximum forecast temperatures from the GFS model for 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow. So for us, it's going for kind of like 30 degrees, but it undercuts the temperatures. But what's happening over northern France and the Low Countries gives it away. Northern France is up to 35, that's 95 Fahrenheit. Much of Belgium, Holland going up to 34 or 35, so again that's mid-90s Fahrenheit. And it's only a short hop and a skip over the North Sea and the Channel into the southeastern part of England. So, and the sea surface temperatures around the Channel and the southern North Sea are now much warmer than average due to the hot summer. So there's nothing really to stop that extreme heat getting into the extreme southeastern part of the country. And then we go through to Friday, and it looks even a little bit more exceptional, really, across northern parts of France, northeast France, into the Low Country, with possibly going up to 36, 37 degrees there, getting on for 100 Fahrenheit. And so that's how the UK Met Office is coming by this possibility that we may see that extreme heat getting to the very far east part of the country. But notice across Ireland, you're down to just sort of 19 or 20 degrees there. Much cooler air starting to move in from off the Atlantic, and that cooler air will spread across the country as we go through into the weekend. So we will have a look at the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles now for the next couple of weeks. We're at Basildon in Essex today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Basildon. We can see that temperatures are going up over the next couple of days, so we're starting around plus 10 Celsius at Basildon. By Friday, we're up to over 15 degrees Celsius at 850 HPA. Then we get that quite dramatic drop in temperature now, going from Friday into Saturday. Upper air temperature is actually going a little bit below average. But bear in mind, it'll still be very warm in the southeast over the weekend, even though we're bringing in a much cooler Atlantic flow. Will still be very warm due to residual heat, because there's going to be so much heat building up within the cities, in particular in the tarmac, within the buildings, that when it gets to this level of heat, it does take quite a few days to radiate all of that out into space. So even though it will be fresher, yes, in the southeast, it will be fresher over the weekend, places like London will still feel very warm, purely because of the heat that's got to get out of the ground, got to get out of tarmac, pavements, radiate out of buildings, bricks, that kind of thing. So it will still be very warm in the southeast over the weekend, but with a fresher feel. Further north and west, you will feel quite a lot cooler and fresher over the weekend. Wales and Midlands, up to Northern England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, it will feel much cooler and fresher there, I think, over the course of the weekend. Now, into next week, we begin the week not all that far from average, but you'll see what's going on. Temperatures through the week are lifting up again. We've been talking about this in the videos lately. This first week of August is shaping up to be another hot week, really. It may start off reasonably cool and fresh at the beginning of next week on Monday, possibly still to Tuesday, but by Wednesday and then through into the end of the week, expect the heat to start to build once again. It could become very hot again down in the south and the southeast in particular by the end of next week. Rainfall wise, so it looks a little bit more unsettled now over the next few days. Have got some precipitation spikes. Much of that at the start of the period, so sort of Thursday, Friday, possibly in Saturday, is thunderstorms. And then there is a possibility, but on Sunday through to Monday, we might bring a more general area of rain in from off the Atlantic, something that we haven't had for a very long time. Outbreaks of persistent Atlantic rain. May get a bit of that Sunday, possibly lasting through to Monday. Beyond that, the trend is very much towards a drying trend as we go through the first week of August. It will not only be turning very hot again, it will also be very dry once more. Surface temperature wise for Basildon, so we're starting off like this with the GFS ensemble. So this is 30 degrees just there, that's 20 degrees just there. These undercut the temperature, so you'll see over the next couple of days, Thursday to Friday, the model is suggesting that it gets to 30 degrees in Basildon. This undercuts the temperature, so that's how mid-30s is possible, particularly on Friday, depending on how much sunshine there is. But that Saturday, notice it's much lower then, down into the low 20 Celsius because of the residual heat. Somewhere like Basildon can expect to still be into the mid-20s on Saturday and Sunday just because of that heat. it's got to radiate out of the buildings, out of brickworks, out of tarmac, and that kind of thing. Eventually, by the start of next week, around, again, low 20s, and that's probably fair enough by Monday and Tuesday. Temperature probably will be into the low 20s as we got rid of all that residual heat, but not for long. Look at this. We go through the course of a week, and the temperature's lifting back up to 30 degrees once again, becoming very hot through the course of this first week of August. Notice there's one or two ensemble members that are going into the mid-30s Celsius there at Basildon. They're outliers, but they're going into the mid-30s Celsius. Those ensemble members, because they are undercooking the temperatures that would actually occur, those ensemble members are probably getting close to upper 30s Celsius type temperature levels. So that's exceptional heat that one or two of those ensemble members are going for through the first week of August. And then head towards the second week of August, maybe signs of a little bit of a lowering in the temperature again, because that's a really long way off, right at the extended range of the model and its ensemble. Temperature anomalies for the next week, from the 25th of July through to the 2nd of August, coming out substantially warmer than average for the UK, and all parts of Europe are coming out hotter than average as well. Precipitation anomalies look like that. So despite this risk of heavy showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, and particularly on Friday, actually away from Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, most places are still coming out a little bit drier than average from the 25th of July through to the 2nd of August. Just to say about, there's a lot of activity going on the building site that's on the other side of my front windows. So you hear bang clashing in the background. Sorry about that. We're competing with diggers and that sort of stuff today, but I'll persevere. This is how the temperature anomaly is looking for America. So western parts of the states, very hot in the west of the states in the week ahead, 25th of July through 2nd of August. But central and eastern parts of America, so from the breadbasket through to the eastern states, coming out cooler than average. There is coolness in the northern hemisphere this summer, and some of that is across parts of Canada and northern and eastern parts of America. Rainfall wise, it varies from state to state, so overall probably a little bit more on the unsettled side, but particularly through the central, eastern and southeastern states. Looks very dry out in the western states, which of course you expect at this time of year. Right, so that's how things are looking on Saturday. And by then we have pushed that a very extreme, what could be very extreme heat out to our east, and we're bringing in this westerly flow from off the Atlantic. Haven't had many westerlies this summer, but that's a definite westerly flow coming in from off the Atlantic. There's the upper air temperatures for 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and you see that extreme heat is just to our east then. That's the +5 Celsius isotherm I was talking about. That's heading into the western side of the country at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, as those storms are pushing away the heat and humidity. That's Saturday afternoon, and you see by then the temperature is looking much more comfortable compared to just 24 hours earlier. We have pushed this +Celsius isotherm pretty much across the country. And so temperatures do drop by several degrees as we go through the course of Saturday. Again, bear in mind there'll be a lot of residual heat in the towns and cities across southeastern England and East Anglia to get rid of. So although the upper air temperatures are dropping quite significantly from Friday, Saturday, it will still be very warm due to that heat radiating out of the buildings and the ground in the southeast. That's the thickness chart forecast for Saturday, and this is quite interesting. This green line just here, I talked about this in a video yesterday. That is the 546 thickness line. That's kind of like autumnal air that's moving into the west from the Atlantic during the course of Saturday. So although I said that down in the southeast it will still be very warm, if you're up in the west, so places like Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, possibly parts of northwest England, it will probably feel quite chilly actually Saturday afternoon. There'll be a fair old breeze blowing, there may be some showers, and with that 546 thickness line, it probably will feel quite cool, to be honest. Maybe even a hint of autumn across western parts of Scotland, would you believe? And then we go through to Sunday, and we've got this next area of low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic, and that's going to bring potentially a spell of more general rain from Sunday to Monday. Quite strong winds to western Scotland as well. So just a little hint there of whether that's to come in a month or two's time, maybe. Sunday and Monday, just a little bit of a hint that we are getting a little bit later into the year now. But by Tuesday, look at this, the Azores high starting to build back in once again. We never get rid of this high pressure over Scandinavia. We never get rid of that. It's still there up to the northeast, blocking things out. And while that's still there, there's still lots of heat left across most of the continent. So it doesn't take long before we start to build these ridges up once again. That's Wednesday, the first day of August. We'll see high pressure building back up from the southwest. And here we go again, off and running into another heat wave. And into the second half of next week, that high pressure just gets stronger, building across the country. So it's slap bang over top of the UK by Friday. It'll be dry, sunny, and becoming hot, or possibly even very hot, by the end of next week. That takes into the first weekend of August. It's day 10, actually, Saturday the 4th of August, where high pressure is still dominating. Upper air temperatures, yes, they're back into hot or very hot type categories. Temperatures at least back into the low 30s Celsius in the south, if not higher. And then as we go into the extended range of this GFS run, we just keep this high pressure fest going through the rest of the first week of August, and possibly even into the second week of August. That's as far as we can go with GFS to Friday the 10th of August, when that high pressure is still well and truly in control. So after that little interruption over the weekend, start of next week, something a little bit more unsettled and cooler, we're very quickly back into heat wave conditions through the course of next week. ECMWF looks like that. So again, this is Saturday when we're pushing that extreme heat away to our east and bringing in a cooler and fresher run of Atlantic winds for Saturday and for Sunday as well. That's Monday. Again, the heat never really goes away to our southeast. So free sailing in southeast England, it may never truly cool down there, to be honest. But for most parts of the country, it does turn cooler over the weekend and into next week. But again, same as with the GFS, it's not long through next week before we're building this high pressure back up. And so that's how things are looking by day 10, which is Saturday the 4th of August. High pressure is almost centred over top of the country. Loads of dry, fine and very warm or hot weather would be expected. Let's just finish off having a look at the Beijing Climate Center for the next 40 days. It's going to cover pretty much the rest of the summer now. So we've got, or meteorological summer, it is questionable whether summer does really end on the last day of August, but it's useful to have a defined period when we come to divvy up the statistics. But of course, hot weather can continue well into September, and maybe this will be one of those years where that happens. But this is 500 millibar height anomaly for the first 10-day period. It takes us from the 26th of July to the 4th of August, with high pressure to our east, low pressure to our west. Let's come over here, that's where the high pressure is, over Scandinavia. And so between the two, we are dragging up a hot, or a very hot, and quite unstable southerly to southeasterly winds. So temperatures will be very high, but also the threat of some intense thunderstorms. That's the next 10-day period. It takes us from the 5th through to the 14th of August. High pressure, or above average heights, which extrapolates high pressure, really dominant. Low pressure down to the south of us. So if that's right, the heat wave continues through the first half of August at least, with winds remaining from an east or southeasterly direction. That's turning drier, I would have thought, through that 10-day period from the 5th to the 14th of August. High pressure very much in control. The next 10-day period looks quite different though. This is the 15th through to the 24th of August, and suddenly we get below average heights appearing close to the country and out to our west. The ridge, the above average area of heights, has been dominating things all summer, is still there to some degree over Scandinavia, but it's looking a lot weaker. So that looks significantly more unsettled as we go into the second half of August. We're re-establishing the jet stream, and all places will get some spells of rain out of that. So the second half, the 15th, 24th of August, put in your diary, second half of August, will that be a more unsettled period? And then we go through to the final 10-day period, which is the 25th of August to the 3rd of September. It's days 31 to 40. And it still looks rather unsettled, really, with below average heights close to the UK. Perhaps a weak area of above average heights to our south. But I think the jet stream is re-established quite a bit here as we go into the second half of August. And so that second half of August will be our most unsettled spell of the summer. Of course, that's not saying much because we haven't really had any unsettled weather this summer. Again, I emphasise that some places have recorded no measurable rainfall whatsoever in statistical meteorological summer, which is from the first day of June. So some places haven't had rainfall since the end of May. And that would obviously be the most unsettled spell of the summer in the second half of August if the Beijing Climate Center is right. That's a very long way off, and I think what I'm going to concentrate on is the next couple of weeks. So we've got this extreme heat that's threatening the southeast tomorrow and Friday. With that, the risk of some thunderstorms as well. Stormwatch will be with you in around 3 hours' time. And then we go through to next week. It cools down a little bit over the weekend. At the start of next week, we'll feel a bit fresher. Takes a long time to get the heat out of the buildings in the southeast, of course, but it will feel a bit fresher over the weekend and the start of next week. But then the heat wave comes back. It's back big time by the look of it, that heat. Dry weather through the second half of next week, and that may run on into the first half of August. Right, so Stormwatch will be with you around 7 o'clock this evening. So come back for that then. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.